Goodbye, Buffalo Way, Chapter 4. Joseph and Isaac raced to the sidewalk and threw themselves down. Recess had just started. The sun was high and warmed on the board sidewalk. If they were fast enough, they could read their comic books and maybe even trade for a new one. Lawrence came more slowly. His eyes were red and his feet dragged. He carried a worn comic book. Hey, you guys, my bum is sore. Lawrence sat gingerly on the sidewalk. How come? Isaac asked. He looked up from his comic book. It was called A Tale of Two Cities. He didn't understand all the English words, but he still liked looking at the pictures. I sat on the toilet last night and finished reading The Black Arrow. It was getting daylight when I got into bed. Isaac jumped up. Oh boy, you finished it? Now we can trade. He handed Lawrence his comic book, got The Black Arrow in return. Lawrence leaned over to look at Joseph's comic. What comic are you reading? He asked. Joseph pushed back his tweed cap. It was Huckleberry Finn. It's a classic comic, he said. I like them. Classic comics are good. Who's after you to read it? Nobody. You can have it after me. Hey, here comes Peter. Painting slightly, Peter flopped down beside Lawrence, his skinny legs spread out over the sidewalk. I never thought I would get a word arithmetic in my spelling test. He blurted out. Why did you want arithmetic in your spelling test? Lawrence had an easy time with spellings. The rest of the big boys knew it. Peter sat upstairs, looking pleased with himself. Because I know how to spell it, it's easy. Just remember, a red Indian thought he might eat tobacco in church. All the first letters spell arithmetic. He looked around for praise, but everyone knew it already. Across the yard, John yelled, Come on, you guys. Sister's giving turnips. The boys ran to the side door. Sister Denise carried a dishpan full of cut turnips. One by one, she gave them a small piece. Clutching their turnips, they went back to the sidewalk. They chewed in silence. Lawrence enjoyed the juicy turnip. After potatoes and onions, it was one of his favorite food. I just love turnips roasted in a campfire, he said at last. Me too, said Joseph. Isaac, do you ever roast turnips in the Yukon? Isaac shook his head. We never eat turnips at all. We eat smoked char and moose meat. I wish I had some now. I think cows eat better than we do, John said. Lawrence was interested. Why? He asked. They get turnips every day, all sliced thin. They get cabbage and the oats all chopped fine. They got a field of grass to eat whenever they're hungry. Joseph had finished his turnip. I wish we would get carrots at least once. He said sadly. Ha! Forget about it. John stood up and nodded his friends to follow him. Let's go to the broiler room and practice chin-ups. Peter jumped up eagerly. Yay, let's go. I don't want to be the 97-pound wiggling like Charles Atlas says in the comic books. Lawrence looked around. The coast was clear. Do we have time? He asked. Sure. The sisters have not come back to the classroom yet. They trooped off. The schoolhouse was a white-painted two-story wooden building. Grades 1 to 2 were in two classrooms on the main floor. On the top floor were the higher grades. Grades 3 and 4 in one room on the top floor, and the grade 5 and 9 were in the other. In the empty classroom, John and Lawrence sat at their desks. Lawrence drew on a scrap piece of paper with his pencil. John scratched away the black of the school book. Show me your drawing. Lawrence reached over and looked at John's picture. It's a Dick Tracy, the detective. Look more like a sausage man. Ha ha ha. I guess you're right. What's yours? The Bantam, the ghost who walks. He appears out of nowhere to fight crime. With a jerk, Lawrence pushed his drawing away. This is the worst part of the morning for me, he said. Why don't you like it? We're going to eat soon. The final thing is catechism. Father Bighead going to give it to us. I wonder what he's going to talk about. Probably something about us again. Just then Priest bustled in dressed his flowing black cassock. As he entered, he pulled a large white handkerchief from a deep pocket. Lawrence groaned. Here he comes, and smiling. He really has it in fast today. Sister Benjamin walked to the chalkboard. As the girls and boys took their seats, Father walked over to her, turned his back to students, and spoke in French. They both chuckled. Just look at him smiling at the sister, John said from the side of his mouth. What is he telling her? Too bad we don't understand French. Father turned to face the class. He shook his clean white handkerchief and made a horrible noise like a rasp against metal. With a flourish, he wiped his mouth back and forth and tucked the handkerchief back into his pocket. In a loud and dramatic voice, Father began, Today, I'll talk about the holy miracles that happened in Europe during our Holy Mother's Blessed Virgin Mary. For good measure, he took out his handkerchief again, wiped his glasses, and put the handkerchief back in his pocket. He had a hard time finding the right pocket. He puts his hand in his pocket 100 times a day. I wonder how many pockets he has hidden in there, Lawrence whispered. Maybe he has no pants under his cassock. John sniggered quietly. After piercing a glance around the classroom, Father continued. The Holy Mother had appeared in many places, but most people do not like to talk about it. They're afraid to be called liars and not to be believed. The the most talked about ones were the sightings of Fatima and Lourdes. 3 little children saw her in Fatima. Their names were Lucy, Jacinta, and Francisco. That's a name like Frank, John worshipped. I know that. Lawrence shot back, never taking his eyes off the priest. When I went back to the Fatima last time, there were signs all over the place. They had do not take or disturb anything. I, of course, saw the wooden structure where Holy Mother appeared. I reached for my pocket knife, opened it, and standing on my tiptoes, I cut a little chunk of wood from the shrine. Still smiling, he rifled through his pocket and brought out a small glass container. In it was a silver wood. This comes from the shrine. See? He held the container high for the class to see. The younger students gasped. Sister Benjamin beamed. I thought it was a sin to deal. I thought it was a sin to steal. Lawrence said under his breath. Maybe priests don't sin. John snorted. Turning his back and left and right, Father spotted him. What? Is that a time? He dug his pocket into his watch, pulled it out and locked it. As we have time to say a prayer before dinner, he claps his hand and everyone's. Boys and girls, remember how long the eternity was hell and you die without a mortal sin? Pray hard that you can escape the burning fire of hell and had to go to heaven. Lawrence studied his drawing of the phantom. He pretended to play. That's the end of chapter 4. Let's move on to chapter 5. Isaac threw his pocket knife. Chapter 5 here. Isaac threw his pocket knife at the air with the flat of his hand, curving it upwards, tried to make a point to stick the ground. When it hit the ground, it wobbled and fell over. Turn it, he said. The big boys sitting in the circle ignored him. They had their markers out and were counting them on the ground. Hey guys, let's play knife, Isaac begged. Not a glance from the other boys. Lawrence liked the look of his blue marbles. He had 2 of them. They were clear in the sky on the sunny day. Kichi lined up his marbles and counted them. He had 15 of all. No sneaking is a good thing when you're playing in marbles, he said. Kichi was the best marble player around because he had a bad leg. He couldn't play any other sports. He didn't want to choose. He did not lose any marbles, so someone who was cheating. I like no cleaning rule. Nobody should brush away the stones. Joseph jumped up. Gee, Wilgus, I gotta go to the toilet, he said. He ran off. Let's play knife, Isaac repeated. He stuffed through his pocket knife into standing position. I can do better this way, he said to no one in particular. Panting, Joseph ran back to the group. Back so soon? Lawrence was surprised. Joseph twitched with excitement. Sniffers in the toilet threw up his guts. He got his whole arm down his throat, right down his belly. What is he doing that for? He think he swallowed some hair. His eyes looked like a chicken's behind. Somebody told him that Marcel swallowed some hair and swelled up his stomach. That's what killed him. Is that why Freddy is making that noise? Lawrence gaggled like someone throwing up. Ha, 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 ha. They are harmonizing on two toilets, Jones said. Joseph looked at Lawrence. You saw Marcel. Do you think he was dead? Lawrence scratched his head. I went to the toilet upstairs in dormitory. Marcel was upstairs sick in a bed and I walked right by him. He was staring at the ceiling, not moving, just like he was dead. Joseph shuddered. Don't be silly. Your eyes close when you die. You never see them bury a guy with his eyes open. All I know that I saw when I came out of the toilet. All I know is what I saw when I came to the toilet. Marcel was still staring at the ceiling. The back of my hair stood up. I did not look back. I just ran to the stairs. That's how scared I was. Sniffer staggered over. His pockets were weighed down with the marble school pens hung low. Isaac forgot about the knife. Hey, Sniffer, did you reach your stomach to get all the hair you swallowed? Sniffer groaned. Gosh, my belly hurts. It should. Between you and Freddie, you haven't been in all morning. Are you scared to die or something? You know you're going to lose your pants with all of the marbles you carry, said Lawrence. Sniffer wiped his nose on his sleeve. No, I got a piece of rope that I can use as a belt. He held up a piece of rope and his pants fell down. He was wearing a baggy undershorts. The boys burst out laughing. The school bell rang. Like a mist, they disappeared. Clutching his pants, Sniffer chased after them. End of chapter 5. And Monday, we'll look at chapter 6.